Okay, so let's just jump right in, because the claim we're looking at today, it's a big one. I mean, what if you could write an entire book in a single weekend? Yeah, you heard that right. We're going to break down exactly how one person did it, and it all comes down to a total shift in how he thought about AI.
48 hours. Just let that sink in for a second. We're not talking a year or even 6 months. We're talking about one weekend. It sounds completely insane, right? But stick with me because this is the key that unlocks a whole new way of working.
And this isn't some hypothetical. This quote is from the guy who actually did it, a real estate agent named Ryan Garson. Think about that contrast, a year versus a weekend. It's the same guy, same level of expertise, but a massive, massive leap in productivity. So you gotta ask, what changed? It wasn't some kind of magic trick. It was all about a fundamental shift in his mindset. All right, so before we get to the solution, we have to talk about the problem. And honestly, it's a problem I think pretty much everyone listening can relate to. You know that feeling when your entire day just gets eaten alive by all the little things, the busy work, before you can even think about starting the real work?
For this guy, Ryan, it was things like writing up property listings, pulling together market analyses, drafting endless follow-up emails. It's that classic busy work trap, right? All the stuff you have to do, but it's just a grind that eats up all the time you should be spending on the big picture stuff, like strategy or actually talking to your clients. So look, his jump into AI wasn't because he was some tech geek who wanted to play with a new toy. No way. This was about survival. It was a desperate search for some kind of leverage in a super demanding industry. He was just trying to find a way to get his time back, to focus on the stuff that actually moves the needle.
But here's the thing, and this is super important. Just like a lot of us, his first try with AI, it wasn't some huge aha moment. In fact, it was kind of meh, pretty underwhelming really. And that's actually a really critical part of this story.
This is probably going to sound familiar to a lot of you. He asked ChatGPT to write a listing description, and what he got back was generic. I mean, sure, it was polished. The grammar was perfect, but it was totally lifeless, soulless. And it's so easy to see that and just go, nope, this thing is useless, and just walk away.
So what changed? If that first attempt was such a flop, what was the big breakthrough? What was that mental click that turned this generic, kind of boring tool into an absolute powerhouse?
Well, the whole breakthrough, the big secret, it all came down to this one really powerful idea. He stopped thinking of AI as a magic wand and started treating it like a junior assistant.
And this right here, this is the absolute core of it. The big takeaway. Stop trying to make AI be the expert. Instead, you are the expert and you're telling it to do the tasks that a super fast, super efficient assistant would do. Think about it. You're still the boss. You're the strategist, the creative director. The AI, it's just your support system.
So what does that actually look like in practice? Well, Ryan basically just dumped all his thoughts into the AI. His notes, his ideas, stuff he'd written before, his voice. Then he gave it a to-do list. Organize all this mess for me. Synthesize these notes. See if you can find any hidden patterns or connections I might have missed. And this is the crucial part. Draft an initial outline. Not the final book, not even close. Just the starting block, the first draft.
And see, this is the huge difference between using a generic tool versus a customized one. Anybody can go on ChatGPT and ask it a question. But the real power, the real game changer, is when you train it on your stuff. Your data, your voice, your specific knowledge of your market. That's when it stops being a fun little novelty and turns into a real system for getting leverage.
Once you start thinking this way, it creates a really clear and, honestly, super effective division of labor. It makes you stop and think, okay, what are the tasks that only a human can do, and what can I just hand off to my new digital assistant?
And here's how that split pretty much works out. AI is incredible, exceptional at speed and scale. It can chew through mountains of data, spot patterns, and spit out a first draft in seconds. But it's absolutely terrible at the things that make us human experts, right? Things like empathy, understanding nuance, high-level strategy, or, building actual relationships. So you handle the why and the who, and you let the AI handle the how.
And all of this leads to a conclusion we're seeing play out literally everywhere in every industry. The threat isn't that some machine is going to take your job. Nope. The real threat is another expert, a person just like you who has figured out how to use that machine to work smarter, faster, and way more effectively than you.
So what we're seeing here is this huge divide opening up in the professional world. It's like a fork in the road, and honestly,
Every single one of us is going to have to decide which path we're taking.
Basically, two camps are forming right now as we speak. You've got Camp 1. These are the people using AI to offload all the grunt work that frees up their time and their brain power for the high-value human stuff, like strategy and relationships. And then you have Camp 2. They're the ones sticking to the old way, doing everything manually, and, well, they're just wondering why they're so completely burned out all the time.
And here's the thing. Winning in this new world isn't about being the most tech-savvy person in the room. You don't have to be a coding genius or some prompt engineering wizard. It's about having strategic wisdom. It's about having the clarity to just draw a line in the sand and say, okay, this is what the machine does, and this over here is where my unique, irreplaceable human value begins.
And let's end on this really powerful thought. AI is a tool that just strips away all the busy work, all the stuff we sometimes hide behind. It forces us to get real and confront the core of our value. It's not going to replace your expertise, but you better believe it will absolutely expose whether or not you're actually using it. So the only question left for you is, are you ready?